NorCal. 209 King of Comedy. It's Rick without the K. James presents, in my opinion, podcast.
Jokingly and not jokingly.
Yeah.
I'm a person that always likes to talk about sex and race, right? Because that's the generation I grew up in, right? Not you, because you guys are extra
Just a bunch of sexy
right?
racists.
But I have this thing, since we're joking around, is there's a stigma between male firefighters, right?
Okay.
I don't know if you know what the stigma
that I
is.
did not expect. Okay.
Yeah. Male firefighters are looked at as whores. Like, man, those dudes are always trying to get laid everywhere.
But if they find, they can be whores. They can be whores.
You heard it from a woman, right? Like, she's, put out this flame, motherfucker, right?
Okay.
But after being in the realm that I'm in and dating as many nurses as I have, because it's easy access.
You're going to call nurses whores?
Yes.
You better stop.
That's why I tell people I don't mess with female nurses no more, because maybe then again it was more prevalent in like Department of Corrections. A lot of people work more time at work than they are at home.
Okay.
So there it's like musical dicks. You know what I mean? Like literally, next, right?
When the music stops, just sit on one.
Yeah, and it's so funny working in that environment. And the reason I ask this question, because I see it as a nurse, right? I see the new female nurse come in, and all the dudes are like, "Who's first?" Right?
Wow.
Damn.
And then it gets bounced around from nurse to nurse to nurse, right?
But in all fairness, though, most people, when I worked at Home Depot, when the new girl that worked in the garden department came in, all the dudes said the same shit. So I feel like that's just a workplace. That's a workplace environment.
It sounds like a man kind of thing.
No, it sounds like I feel like because to your point, because you're
Yeah, but how many females do you have coming on at Home Depot? We're talking about a new female nurse every week, bro.
Right. Okay. But to your point though, because the point you're making about male firefighters versus female nurses.
Yeah.
I think the reason that they're even comparable is because, like, by nature, both of them are attractive to the opposite sex. And what I mean by that is, like, a woman sees a male firefighter and there's something sexy about somebody who can save her. A man sees a female nurse and there's something sexy and beautiful about somebody who can nurture him.
Or they just see enough porn videos where you have the nurses dressed up in those little white costumes.
For sure.
Yeah, but even so, man, can we talk about new scrubs? Because you females are damn near painting them bitches on right now. Like, these nurses act like they're going to the club, bro.
I just ordered new scrubs, new skinny fit
what are the
joggers.
figs or whatever?
The figs.
Yeah, Jesus.
But the
those goddamn these fucking outfits, bro, are like $100 an outfit.
Oh, no, I see them on TikTok. Believe me, I see them all the time on Instagram. But the reason that those pornos exist though is because the people who are creating those pornos, they know what to tap into. They're like, women want to be saved and men want to be nurtured.
What about the porn with plumbers and shit then?
Well,
what is
obviously there's a pipe. There's a pipe implication there. There's a pipe implication there. So I think that kind of explains itself. But the reason why I feel like that's the reason why there's so much, there's like that sexual tension between a male and a female, and when he sees a female nurse, that's why a stripper will show up dressed as a female nurse. Because there's like something that turns you on about like, ooh, this person can nurture me and take care of me. Because men deep down, that's what they want, and women deep down, what they want is they want to be saved. So who's a greater hero than a fireman?
Two questions for you: one, is it the same environment for doctors? And two, do you guys notice the nursing staff doing that shit? Because I feel like doctors, you guys probably get around with each other, but not so much. And you got to understand also on this is this not looked at like if a doctor's dating a nurse, something's wrong with that doctor. Like, why would you do that? You know what I mean?
If a doctor's dating a nurse, okay.
Yeah, it's like, why would you? You're not going to downgrade yourself. You know what I mean? That's why she's probably dating a pharmacist, because they're both doctors. You know what I mean? So
I don't know. My boyfriend does not want to be called a doctor.
I dated the shit out of some CNAs, bro. I've got.
So is a pharmacist considered a doctor?
Yeah.
You have your PharmD, so your doctor in pharmacology. But my boyfriend does not want to be called doctor. He's like, I don't know shit about diagnosis. I don't want to confuse patients.
No, my cousin who's a pharmacist wants everybody to know he's a goddamn doctor, all right? Shouts out to Will, right? So go ahead and answer the question.
I'll answer the second one.
Okay.
I'm friends with a lot of nurses at my hospital. So I know the nurse gossip. I know who's dating who. Some nurses are dating each other. I don't I don't hear about a lot of like nurses getting hit on just because they're new, or travelers. You get travelers probably at your place too?
Yeah, I was trying to hit one up. Never mind.
What's a traveler? Like a nurse that just goes to different hospitals?
Yeah, they're on a contract for like 13 weeks normally.
And then sometimes they get their contracts renewed, they stay somewhere long enough, and then they get hired. Okay. Sometimes. No, I don't hear about that. I don't see it. No. I don't hear about it. Maybe it's different.
Maybe because you're too busy working.
Maybe, and that was the answer to your first question. Do doctors do this shit? And I can tell you just personally from a resident doctor point of view, we work 80 hours a week on paper and probably a little bit more off the books. We're only allowed to work 80 hours a week. We are too exhausted to be doing that kind of shit. I'm too exhausted to be doing that kind of shit at home with my boyfriend.
Well, then do you guys get hit on more so because you're the resident doctor?
No. I think
by an older doctor that's been there for a minute.
I think people know they know well enough to not do that because people get so inundated with all the harassment training before they start that they know that's just like a no-fly zone. I can tell you at the VA though, all the old people at the VA hit on doctors all the time.
Nice.
If I ever want my confidence boosted, I just gotta walk through a VA past all the old, dusty, gross white men in wheelchairs.
Damn. Oh. The dusty black man can get it though. Just know that.
But thank you for your service.
Which I guess I'm the one doing the questions, right?
I don't know. I didn't know you had a list here. You just gave me the list, and
I gave you the list, here. But. While you're looking through that, I want to talk about this, which may or may not be funny, depending upon who the fuck's hearing it, right? But I can't remember how I did the question, but it's kind of the fact that Latinos really aren't in healthcare unless you're in an area where there's a lot of healthcare and a lot of Latinos, right? Like Fresno, there's a lot of Latin nurses over there.
Yeah.
But out here, not really. Again, I work in corrections. There's a lot of Nigerian nurses, right? Or because I'm an LVN, I do the skilled nursing facility. I have done. I don't do it no more now, right? Because it's 35 patients to one fucking LVN. So you can't properly care for people when there's that many people. You're seeing 35 people in an 8-hour period and supposed to give medications, wound care, all this other shit. And you just can't. So I stay out of that realm. But in that realm, you have a lot of Indians and you have a lot of Filipinos, right? And I tell people, like, my girl's Filipina, and
I got good taste.
And I tell her, I was like, babe, I said, that's the other problem is like, I feel like those other three cultures click up a lot easier, and I see why. Like, I'm pretty sure Latin people would do the same thing if we had numbers, but the only help that I get, like I tell him, I said, is with housekeeping. I'm like, hey.
Damn. Hey, fool, can I get some more towels?
Yeah, something like that. Like, hey, bro. But, and it wasn't until my girl told me, she goes, just tell the Filipinos that you date a Filipina.
Mm-hmm. And then that's your in.
And honestly, all jokes aside, it has fucking worked. Yeah. Because I told Rudy earlier, I said, the first question I get when I work with a bunch of Filipinos is, are you Filipino?
You look
your
at
last name.
You look at a little bit.
You look it and like. And my first thing is to be like, no. And then you see in their face like, oh, he's not us.
Right.
And then I feel like that working with it. So I guess I'm asking, do you see that? And not how could I fix it, right? Because sometimes it's just my attitude. So
as a doctor, no. There are not very many Filipino doctors out there. There are very few of us. But I can tell you, I get in with the nurses, and they bring me all the good food at lunch.
Nice.
I don't know what you can do to fix it. Keep telling people that you're dating a Filipino.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't think there's any way to fix that. I mean, that's just like an issue that people have just in general. Like, it's tribalism. You want to be with your people. It just happens. I think that happens naturally. You can go to any workplace, and I think you're going to see people link up with those who look like them, who talk like them, who eat the same foods as them, who have the same names as them. Because there's no way around that. All three of us
do comedy, and it's not like that. Maybe it is for Filipinos, but I've had this conversation with like Cody Woods, and I said, Latin comics, we're the exact opposite. We're crabs in a barrel type shit. Like, Like
How
if
so?
one gets to the top, we'll pull them down. Like, nope, you're not leaving. Nope.
Oh, shit,
Like,
really?
oh yeah, like
Is that
so
true?
to even
Well, I mean,
so to even like have Rudy's studio today
Yeah.
to borrow it. Not a lot of Latin comics do that shit. And Cody Wood goes, man, because that's the way your machismo is. And he goes, you ever seen two Latin boxers? They don't even defensively box. They just punch each other in the fucking face till one of them drops
Yeah,
down. And I'm like, so we kind of
So you're
do
saying that about your own people.
Oh yeah,
No,
I talk
but-
shit
but see,
about
I-
Latin people all the time.
I disagree with that being the reason. It's not because of machismo. I mean, if you're a black comic, if you're a Latino comic, if you're a comic of some sort of ethnic background, you have material that you're expected to deliver just due to the fact because you are of that ethnic
Yeah.
background. If somebody who comes along who's on the same show as you and they have the same ethnic background, there's a great possibility that they're going to deliver similar or the very same material that you're going to
Or
deliver.
funnier.
Or funnier. So therefore, you don't want that person on the show. You may not say it out loud, but deep down you feel it. You're like, fuck, this motherfucker's going to tell jokes about immigration. This was going to tell, he's going to do the accent that I was going to do.
No,
I was going to do that accent.
I was gonna do that.
So it's like, so that's why you don't, that's why a lot of Latino comics or any comic, now white comics, I don't think they have to deal with that because just culturally speaking, like
They don't got
have
none.
yeah, I mean, yeah, and when you don't have a specific culture, you can pick and choose any culture.
Yeah.
You can tap in anything. So you have a broader, like variety of things to choose from. But so I don't want to attribute it to machismo because black comics do the same thing. How many times have you been booked at Tommy T's and it'll be like a headliner who's a black comic and they'll call you. You never wondered why?
I definitely know.
There's other comics that could fill the role, but it's like the comic probably wants somebody.
They don't
who's-
want someone too similar.
Exactly,
to them. Yeah.
And so it's not the machismo thing. I understand where he was going with that, and it's funny, but I don't think that's really.
But I
don't
think
think
it
that's
is.
the reason why.
I think we might have a different outlook though because you go around with Frankie,
Yeah.
right? Little creeper, right? So which he has his own fucking following. You
Right.
know what I mean? Where I think I've had the experiences where I've opened for George and been told there's only going to be one funny Latin comic on stage after one show.
Yeah.
And goodbye. And now I'm like, fuck you, bro. Like, come on, you're like the top echelon.
But was
of
that
us.
machismo,
But
or he told you there's only going to
I
be
mean,
one
I think
funny?
you guys are saying the same thing.
Yeah, he said there's only going to be one funny Latin comic. He's telling you right there, like, no, you're too similar to my shit. That's why you can't be on the show. I mean, that's he basically gave you the reason. You know what I mean? I'm
I
telling
don't
you.
know. I just feel like I don't do the same comedy.
I
so.
will say
No,
there.
but they don't know that though. They don't know that. You know what I'm saying? They just see a Mexican dude pull up and he's a comic. They're like, no, too close for comfort. Too close for comfort.
There are a few Filipino comics, I think, in the Bay Area. You know, there's Wally Hippolito,
Mm-hmm.
funny as fuck guy. Have you met Elvin? He's not even Bay Area. He's from Stockton.
Yeah.
He's blind.
Yeah.
He got his own thing going on, but he's Filipino, but nobody else can do his shit.
Right.
And I think agreeing with you, if there were many different blind comics, I bet you they wouldn't be as supportive of each other because they would all be doing the same
I'm trying
shit.
to- yeah.
You know? Comedians like when they're unique.
Right.
I think I get booked on so many shows because I'm small and I'm Filipino and I'm a doctor.
Right.
You know, like there's not a lot of other people out there doing comedy that has the same background as me. When you have tons of Latinos out there and they're all talking about, I don't know, the mariachi and banda bands throughout their town and quinceañeras, I could see why you wouldn't want 100 of those on the
Which
same
kills
show.
in Los
Of course.
Angeles, but not up here.
But when you're right though. I mean, you have a highly Latino saturated, part of the country, which is California. So of course, we're all looking at each other like, oh, this motherfucker got a joke about fucking piñatas. I got a joke about piñatas. Wait, I mean, because that's what's gonna happen. So I feel like, I just don't want to. I say all that to say I just don't agree with the machismo part because every ethnic group that has a highly saturated comedy community in whatever part of the country they're in, they're all going to feel the same way. Now, if you like Filipinos, there's not a lot of Filipino comics, so it's all good to have 4 or 5 Filipinos on one show, and nobody feels anything.
At
Probably,
least I don't.
Yeah, not yet at least until you meet more
shout out to
Filipino
George
comics.
Boy.
like,
Until
fuck.
be another Filipino small female
Yeah.
doctor.
and then also like Filipino, the Filipino culture is not as highly broadcasted as the Mexican or Latino culture. Like everybody knows about salsa, everybody knows about quinceañeras. Like you never have to have been to a quinceañera to know what one is. So Latinos that's kind of like
Especially
a
here in
disadvantage. In California, especially, it doesn't matter if you're not Latino. You know about Latino culture because it's in your face every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Taco trucks are literally everywhere.
Unless you live in
Where?
Union City, then Filipino culture's in your face.
Exactly,
every day.
exactly.
Or
There's
Daly-
going to be some
or
small
Daly
pockets,
City.
yeah, or
Yeah,
Daily
yeah.
City, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah, like small
Yeah.
pockets where it's like, okay, yes, this lesser known, you know, culture is everywhere.
Boy Charlie Murphy, my main man Rick James. That's the one you think, the comedian Rick James. Get up.
I can't hear my neighbor crying, I can't breathe.
Please hit the subscribe button down low so you can see all new clips, all new episodes coming to you.